So in this video, we're going to look at the circular flow diagram of economic activity. The circular flow model is a diagram that shows the flow of expenditures and incomes in the economy. This is a model. It's an abstraction of reality, and it is used to better understand how market economies are organized. The two main actors that we're going to concentrate on in this simplified economy are households, and these are just individuals or people living together who buy goods and services and sell and own factors of production. The other main actor is firms. Firms is just an organization that produces goods and services. The government is also a main actor in the economy, but we're not going to concentrate much on the government in this little section here. But remember, the government does buy goods and services. It taxes firms, it taxes households, it makes transfer payments, things like welfare benefits, Social Security payments, provides Medicare and Medicaid services to households. So the government is certainly involved in the economy, but to keep things simple, we're going to just concentrate on households and firms. So households and firms are going to interact in two main markets. Goods markets is where households buy goods and services from firms that produce and sell the goods and services. Firms earn revenue from selling these goods and services. In this market, the demand side consists of households, so households demand goods and services. And in the goods market, the suppliers, the supply side of the market, are the firms. Firms supply goods and services. Later on, we'll talk about supply and demand in a lot more detail. And finally, the other main market is factors markets. Firms buy factors of production, which include land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship from households. Households earn income, things like wages for labor services, rent from land, interest from capital, and profit from the owners of the firm, the entrepreneurs. In this side of the market, the demanders are firms. Firms demand factors for production. Firms demand labor. They demand land. They demand capital to help produce their goods and services. The supply side in this market, the sellers are households. Households supply labor services. They rent out their land, lease out, rent out capital, and so on. So now let's look at the diagram. So like I said, there are two main actors here, firms and households. Firms produce goods and services, and these firms and households interact in two markets: goods markets, factors markets. So this would be the market for cars, clothing, entertainment, so on, housing. And in the factors market, this is where labor services, land, capital gets traded. So firms sell goods and services to the goods market. So they provide these goods and services to the goods market. And these goods and services flow into households. Households demand these goods and services. In return for these goods and services, households spend money on these goods and services, and that becomes firms' revenue. So we got the physical goods or services being traded in exchange for these green arrows, the dollars, the flow of expenditures. In the bottom side of the diagram, where households and firms interact in factors markets, households are supplying the factors of production, the land, labor, and capital, and I didn't put in here the entrepreneur. So remember here, all firms are owned by households. So the entrepreneur is coming from a household. And in return for these resources, these factors resources, firms pay the owners wages for labor, income, wages for labor, rent to land owners, interest to capital owners, and profit to the owners of the firm. And that becomes income to households. So that is the simplified version of the market economy. A few things I want to note here about the two markets, the goods markets and factors markets. In the goods markets, supply and demand determine prices. Again, we'll talk about this in much more detail later on. Prices affect what and how much consumers want to buy and what and how much sellers want to supply. So again, the importance of prices in determining resource allocations. In the factors markets, supply and demand determine the prices of the factors of production. Prices affect what and how much inputs firms want to use and what and how much inputs households want to supply. All right, that's it. I hope you found this video helpful.